in 2 Timothy chapter 2, we read one particular verse that I want to unpack again this morning. It says, 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 16, avoid godless chatter, because those who indulge in it will become more and more ungodly. And I was kind of nerding out and looking at the Greek last week, and it's interesting to look at the Greek of the word ungodly. Okay, so I have some cards I want to show you today. So the root for the word ungodly is asebaya. Asebaya. You want to say that with me? Asebaya. See, there you go. Now you know some Greek, the word for ungodly. But the interesting thing is, it is the opposite of this other word that we find throughout the Old Testament, which is this word, eusebia. Eusebia. So it's actually taking this word, which means godliness, and putting an A in front of it, kind of like we would say atypical. We've heard a lot of this word lately, asymptomatic. I mean, it means the opposite. And so this means the opposite of godly. But here's another interesting thing. I underlined the 3 letters S-E-B, seb. And in the Greek, seb means worship. Isn't that interesting? The writer here, Paul, is using this word, ungodly, and he's saying it means an absence of worship. Isn't that fascinating? What he's saying is we fall into ungodliness when we no longer have a heart of worship. And I think about this with Exodus chapter 32. I was reminded of when the people were just getting so tired of waiting for Moses up as he was meeting with God on Mount Sinai that they decided to throw in all of their gold stuff, their jewelry, and then form this golden calf to worship. And they were getting restless, and they just felt like they wanted some sort of answer, something to cling to. And so they took their eyes off of God and began worshiping this golden calf that was made out of their old earrings. I mean, come on. But it was a reminder to me as I read this in 2 Timothy and thought about Exodus 32, that when things don't always go our way, we can be tempted, just like the people of Israel, maybe not to build a golden calf, but to start looking to other things, start looking to other people, start looking to finances and other forms of security, to start looking for worldly ways to try to fill our cup. And that ends up leading us to ungodliness. When our heart of worship is no longer in the right place, then we can be led astray, and therefore we can become not the people who God wants us to be. And so as I'm thinking about first things first, as I'm thinking about rules, like I said, God always puts rules in place for our good and for his glory. He always wants the best for us. And he wants us to live the life that he's called us to, a life of meaning, a life of purpose, where we can find our true security. And so my friends, if you're feeling like you're standing on some rocky ground, if you're standing on some sinking sand these days, I mean, the world is a difficult place right now. We can trust that God has us. We can trust that as we worship him, he'll provide everything we need, and we don't need to look to the right or to the left. We can keep our eyes focused on him, and as we do, we worship him, and we are continue to be formed into the godly people that he intends us to be.